Welcome to the channel where I make your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side so once we have all the updates and news, be the first one getting all the insight. Now, by the end of last week, we have received an email from the state government of Tasmania. Now, although I know it's not an exciting news, Tassie again. But anyway, Tasmania as a state has been the first ever for the year of 2023 and 24, despite that all the other states haven't even announced any of their updates yet. Now Tasmania wanted to go first, so they have sent us an email which I'm gonna share with you, and then obviously go into their website to actually have a little, going through how the changes had actually made. There's actually not much of changes, but anyhow, let's have a look. Okay, so this is the email that I received last week, and let me just magnify that a little bit. So as you can read, it says Tasmania Skill Migration State Nomination Program Updates. It's on the 5th of July. Well, it has been taking a couple of days because obviously you noticed that the 1st of July this has been a lot of changes, being very, very busy, but I'm committed to get all the update to all of you and the viewers out there. So 2023-24 Tasmania Migration Nomination Program, it says it's still currently undergoing maintenance. Well, why don't they announce it once it's being finalized or completed? I don't know. I have no idea. We can go into the website and check it out as well. And certainly there are some still maintenance that you can actually see by your eyes anyway. So we advise our website in a future update and a gateway available before this time, which is available nowadays anyway. So the new features of the 2023 and 24, the minimum eligibility requirement priority attribute will apply to ROI. That's the registration of interest. Applicants submitted from 3rd July. So if you wanted to do if you want to migrate to Tasmania, means you need to do a fresh new ROI and new applications. So dump all the old ones back on the before July, so you got to do a brand new one. In the case of new requirement likely to benefit candidate, you may wish to withdraw, so basically do a new one. So what has been the changes? The extended eligibility of subclass 190 nomination to all occupation in Tasmania skill employment pathway. So what does that mean? That means every single occupation that's listed in your type of skill occupation list. So that's MLTSL, that's the short-term list, that's the regional occupation list, that's all in there. An updated Tasmania onshore skill occupation, we'll take a quick look at that. Change of requirement for massage therapists. Despite I don't know not much of changes over there. The income threshold, for sure, it's got to be over 70,000, but I'm not too sure if you can get 70,000 employment in Tasmania, regional Australia. Don't know. Minor changes of priority attributes and more detailed policy guidance updated. So, okay, so this is the this obviously is the Tasmania migration website. It looks great. I think it used to be purple, no, orange, right? So now they changed the color scheme, so it's all green, so it's feel more natural, and you can see that there's still it's still under maintenance. There are still things that not be able to be found. So I cannot click on the can I click on this? Okay, I can click on this. So let's go into the migration sections here. So the options are obviously 190 and 491. I'm not gonna go through what the difference between 190 and 491. I assume that you already know that 190 gets you to permanent residency straight away. So obviously the requirement is a little bit higher. Now 491, you need to stay in regional, and 3 years later you transfer into a 191 pathway to become a permanent residency. So obviously then the eligibility is a little bit lower, so it depends on whichever that suits you. So what does that mean? Suits you means whichever that gets you to the highest point. Okay, in the point test system. So if we go into 190, the eligibility is right there. It says you cannot be over 45. You gotta be in the occupation list, where if we refer back to the email, that basically meant all occupations. So I assume that's all of them. But again, it says relevant list of eligible skill occupation. So does that mean all of them still? Don't know. Onto some updates there. You need to get a skill assessment. You need to get competent English proficiency that's equivalent to IELTS 6 across 4 bands, and you need to pass that 65-point mark. So seems to be the point test system hasn't really been updated. So what if the federal government comes tomorrow or next month, say, all right, this is new, let's bring in a new point test system? Then what we talked about today is all vanished. It's all going to be all changed. Okay, so the nomination requirement, I've tried to click on how to apply. So let's have a look. It says you need to get EOI first, and you obviously create EOI and you put in your ROI. So that's the nitty gritty, basically what it. So it says check your eligibility, and let me go back to the website. It says there's a check ability button at the home page, I think. Here we go. It says eligibility checker, and the problem with this is when I click on this, it says currently the site is unavailable. So that means it's still in maintenance, isn't it? So anyway, you can check it once it's available. At this point in time, you cannot do anything with it. So I assume that will be a search engine easier to guide you to go through all the complexity of the Tasmania's migration website. Why do I say that? Because when we click into 190, you may see nomination pathways. So there are numbers of pathways just under 190, and there are numbers of pathway under 491 as well. So it's very complex, and that's exactly what the Grattan Institute has recommended to actually simplify it. So it seems to be the new point test system has not been announced. The Tasmania state government will decide, look, let's just stick to the old rules. I don't like it, but we have to just go through with it. So again, the eligibility checker is up there, which is not available currently, unfortunately. Employment pathway, so that's the one that we access to all of the occupation that we have received the email with. So it says the employment must be an occupation list on the Tasmania onshore skill employment occupation list. Didn't they say that they can access to all of them? So let's go back to the email. It says Tasmania all occupation in the Tasmania skill employment pathway. Isn't that what we're looking at about Tasmania skill employment pathway? This is the contradictions. So I don't think they have really update everything. Here you say all occupation, and here you say you got to go into the Tasmania onshore skill occupation list, employment occupation list. So let's go in there and have a look as well. It's basically, I'm not going to go through all of this because that's a bulky list of stuff. So all agriculture, livestock farmer, research and development manager, construction manager, specialist others manager. You can go through that. Accountants, company secretary, surveyor, engineers, and so on and so forth, all the way going down. Teachers, all the health and the tech, ICT, registered nurse, fishery, and the trades. So there's actually a lot. There's actually a lot there now. And when I search massage therapist, it's not there. So I'm not too sure what they have changed for the massage therapist. Anyway, it reads continue on. You gotta be working in Tasmania, average 20 hours. If you're a subcontractor, you consider pathway if your relevant skill assessment is at least 12 month business activity in. So you need to be means that you need to operate your business for at least 12 months there. Long-term employment, you must have been working there for at least 15 months. So let's consider long-term, and both options there. So that's what it is there. Now, if we to go back, whoops. Let's just close this. It's just too many pathway, and that's really confusing. So what about the skill graduate pathway? Okay, so skill graduate pathway, you got to obviously study in Tasmania at least 2 calendar years, so 2 years. And it's going to be higher education or certificate, so any type of, which is under the criteria that's pretty obvious. If you are going to hold a student visa, it's going to be under the criteria education institutes or providers. The course must have been taken full-time on-site in Tasmania, so no more online and offshore, and you got to be currently living in Tasmania. So and there's no occupation required to be picked here. So I assume it's just going to be any occupation, I believe. Now there's a occupation caveat. Let's just go in that one there. So it will tells you whatever the occupation that it is. There is a requirement there. So for example, if you're going to be a advertising manager, employer must have operated in Tasmania for at least 3 years. So that's pretty hard. When you get a job, you gotta ask, have you been in Tasmania for 3 years? Not too sure how that will work. Let's search again if massage therapist. Now massage therapist is not in here. So it looks like all the caveats is on the employer rather than the employee. So I don't know if you want to graduate and you get a job in Hobart, you really have to ask whether your boss has been there for at least 3 years and business has been 3 years. And the priority attribute selection, let's have a look at that one. Oops, that's is it this one? Okay, so the green, the goal, you have skill assessment directly related to your employment for at least three parts of 3 months. That's not too bad. And there's a critical role list. Look at this. This is too complex. Okay, so the critical role list consider all these type of occupation only. So if you're interested, you may want to go and view them. And the green one says you're employed at least 6 months or 2 years. And all the detail there's orange. So you see, this is just a little bit too complex, isn't it? How on earth somebody who just graduated could actually navigate through all this? And the Tasmania established resident pathway, so that's another one. So what does this read? It reads, so again, employment, you need to go to the whether or not they're going to open the whole list of occupation or they stick to the Tasmania onshore occupation list. And the graduate, there's no list, so it means every occupation should be in there. And the established residents, you have been living there for 3 years. That's not too bad. If you study a bachelor, you get there 3 years. Currently employed, including cumulative 12 out of 24 months. So you get to be work there 12 months. Currently employed, okay, so that's not too bad, and you at least the salary level is 70,000. So that's the hard part there. Now considering regional Australia, getting a 70,000, that's, well, not too easy. That's all I can say. Okay, now let's go into the overseas applicant, and it's only open for health sector job offer. So as it says, only for health occupation there. Now let's remove all this. It's just too many. It's too complex, isn't it? I really don't like the way how Tasmania design how their skill migration works. So let's go back to the 491, shall we? So we have done 190. This is going to be a lengthy video, unfortunately, because it's just too complex. Okay, so the nitty gritty is you got to be less than 45, same thing, and competent English, and get your skill occupation list. Whether or not it's going to be relevant list of skill occupation. Again, let's go to the nomination pathway. So it's the same old as what the 190 offer, but there is a business operator pathway, and there is overseas job and overseas applicant invitation pathway. So let's jump into the different ones. Now, the same pathway will provide a little bit lesser and easier guidance compared to the 190. So that's how the nitty gritty is. So Tasmania business operator, let's go in there, have a look what it actually requires. To be considered pathway, must meet all requirements. You may also need to process one or more priority attributes. So minimum, you gotta establish operator business. Now, if this is gonna be regional in Australia, I do not really recommend, because this is money gotta throw in. You don't want to just waste it. Okay, you must provide a personal tax income. So, as long as you got a business, and you got to pay yourself. Okay, at least 85% of the Tasmania skill migration income threshold. So that's 59,500. You got to pay yourself at least that. Otherwise, you're not gonna meet the requirement. You must show that you have understanding, responsibility, or requirement of treating employee fairly, or for sure. Owner of massage. Here we go. That's only the massage therapist. So massage therapist is not really connected to any other pathway but the 491 business operator. So owner of massage therapy business must have relevant skill assessment and verifiable health fund provider number. All right, that's not too bad. Subcontracting business owner are not eligible. All right, so subcontractor has to go through the employment pathway. Okay, so close that, and let's go down to the what's this one? Overseas applicant OSOP invitation only. So what's the differences there? Let's have a look at that one. There is an overseas skill occupation profile. Now this is just gonna be too complex. There's a critical list, there's a Tasmania list, and there's a list on the Department of Home Affairs, and there is another list. I'm not gonna go through that, but if you're interested, you may want to go on that one. So, okay, you need to write and register, and then your dependent must not live in other states. You access sufficient fund, invitation to apply, and so on and so forth. There's attribute there again. The gold, only the gold one can be picked. Invited through skill select by Migration Tasmania to register interest on the Migration Tasmania gateway. So you need to meet something above there. So basically, you need to go to the overseas skill occupation profile in order to find out whether or not you can actually meet this requirement. Bear in mind that's just 491. It's not 190. Going through all the complexity and all these very, very complex migration system of the state of Tasmania. You really need to navigate through, and I really want to see how that eligibility checker will work. Anyhow, that's for the skill migration and the state nomination for the state of Tasmania. Should you have more question, query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below. Let's see you next video. Goodbye.